Hi everyone! This is the second cover of the weekend. Also Apache. And this time it's the Incredible Bongo Band. Well, I have a little bit to read about it, so let's do that first. The Incredible Bongo Band was a funk band created by record producer Michael Viner, along with other record executives, after Viner was asked to contribute music to the B-movie The Thing with Two Heads. Viner recorded several songs using early funk instrumentation, including heavy use of bongos. Okay, so I didn't know that bongos were a feature of funk, but okay. Some, like Apache, were covers of existing rock hits. Others were original compositions. The album with these songs, Bongo Rock, was released in 1973 to little acclaim. However, Clive Campbell, who worked as a disc jockey for street and house parties under the name DJ Kool Herc, took a liking to the cover of Apache and began to play its long bongo solo repeatedly, using 2 copies of the album to maintain the beat over long periods of time. Okay. He had already noticed that partygoers would save their best dance moves for the instrumental breaks in the songs he played, and looping the bongo solo of Apache was met extremely favorably wherever he DJ'd. Campbell soon pioneered a style of DJing where he would play only the instrumental breaks in songs, one after the other, cueing them up so the beat never stopped or broke for hours at a time. Woo! With the bongo solo of Apache featured prominently. Initially called the merry-go-round by Campbell, this became one of the main foundations of hip-hop music, and the Incredible Bongo Band's cover of Apache is still referred to today as hip-hop's national anthem. That's interesting. So this is going to be kind of a... I see how this is maybe a strand or a piece of glue that has carried through several different styles, and it's going to be fun to see how it fits together. So this is the Incredible Bongo Band's version of Apache. Oh yeah, I hear the bongos. Are you able to cut there? So it's not just bongo that's a feature of this band, but also brass and organ. And I hear brass used in rock music. I hear organ used in rock music. But here, they're both very strident and very kind of at the top of the heap as far as attention, where our ears are being pulled. And that's an interesting thing to notice as well, is how powerfully they are coming through. Okay, so up to this point, it is so far different from the one I listened to yesterday. It's almost unrecognizable until I start to pick out, okay, there's a little bit of that melody. I was talking yesterday about the melody and how how nicely shaped it is. And now, well, it's kind of lost its what did it say? Heroic, savage, whatever this descriptor was, right? This is very different, and it doesn't have that sort of Hollywood feel of how the classic portrayal of the Native American warrior is. It's so interesting to think of this as traveling through so many different incarnations. Here's the tremolo. It feels more like it's showing me kind of a split screen or leaping from one scene to another. We've got this beep, 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 and this there's the tremolo, and then in come the bongos and the percussion, and all the chatter and jabber that they are creating. It's almost like, how should I say? It feels like I am seeing a sort of a sort of, maybe we could say, a market scene, or a a city type scene, and then we're taken out to the forest next door, where we see a bunch of kids playing with playing in the dirt and playing with sticks and other creative games. It has this feeling of two very different personalities and characters, and we're being thrown back and forth. One with the intensity and the stridency of heavily populated area, a lot of human life, and then out more in the natural world, but still a lot of activity happening. Okay, this is out. Now we're back. Okay, this must be the solo. Okay, so I'm remembering what I read about. That was something that Clive Campbell would loop twice to give more length to it, and that is where the dancers enjoyed pulling out their best moves and being their most energetic. And I'm thinking about this idea of what makes people want to be more free and dance more energetically, enthusiastically in a break like that. Well, to kind of go back to what I was just saying about it felt kind of like two different characters, two different personalities, two different locations. Um, the music is kind of doing that when we have all this brass and organ and melody, the melody itself, it directs us, it shapes us, it moves us in specific ways. Some more than others. A lot depends on the setting, the mix, the instrumentation, all kinds of variables. But still, there is a sort of directed quality to it. You take all that away and leave it with a rhythm that kind of encourages movement. Suddenly you feel free. We could say it's a bit like trying to dance in a crowded marketplace as opposed to trying to dance in a forest clearing, where it's just there's space to move. Whereas in a marketplace, you're jammed up against all the bodies and furniture and whatever else is there, and you can't be your freest self. In a way, that's what's happening with the music, especially in this piece. It's so noticeable, the contrast between the two. Here it's free. Now we suddenly have to straighten up. We're told where to move and how. Well, what a dramatic ending with flair, fireworks, the whole works. Okay, there are several things I want to talk about. First of all, before I go to comparing the two covers, yeah, that bongo solo was kind of fun. But I'll tell you what else really has stood out to me in this one, and that is the organ. Now, of course, you know that I like a lot of organ music. There's a lot of organ music that I get tired of as well, because it has the capacity to be an incredibly overbearing instrument. But I like it in this one. I like it. It has a very clean, focused quality right in the middle, and it has a peaceful quality as well. And I guess that's what I like about it, because it's set. You hear the organ when you hear all this wild brass around it. And the brass is rather party style, wild, celebratory, jazzy, bluesy, whatever you want to call it. But it really is, you know, kind of the wild child in that section. Whereas the organ is the calm, cool, collected personality in the middle of it all, just keeping things going as it should be. And that's where the melody is placed. And so we have this clean melody around which everything is dancing and celebrating and having a lot of excited fun. It's a very powerful contrast, even in a section in which there's not a lot of dynamic contrast. Well, this takes me back to comparing what we heard yesterday with the shadows. I think you might remember I commented on the tonal coloring, the variety, the ebb and flow, the rise and fall of dynamics, all of that beautiful shaping of the piece. This has a very different shape to it. And with the brass and the organ both being very powerful, we we could say acid instruments, you know, they have this acidity to the sound and an edge, a cutting quality. And to have both of those featured at the same time in this forte section, or we could even say fortissimo section, front and ending, and then the bongo is in the middle. We might expect that that is just a sort of hit you in the face experience, but it's not. Instead, the organ with its smooth, thin line puts in the melody in relief, and everything else happens around it in its excited style and quality, mood. But to have that clean, straight melody is a way of giving a different kind of tonal coloring and contrast. And I would call it a rather subtle variation, because while it does contrast in many ways, going back to the idea of tonal coloring, as I said, the organ and the brass have a lot of similarities with their sound. And so it's this lovely mix of both contrast and complement, similarity. They help each other, they blend. At the same time, they are very distinct and distinctive here. And I like that about this section. Going back to the bongo section. Well, as I said, that's the clearing in the forest. That's where all of this noise backs off and we are free to move and dance and do as we please. So now, the thing that is intriguing to me about all of this with this particular song, Apache, as I learned yesterday, the Shadows were such an influential band on so many artists, so many guitarists, that we now list among the greats and the greatests. And now, today, to see another massive influence that somehow Apache, kind of probably by accident, ended up being, to be the hip-hop's national anthem, this bongo band cover, to have such an impact on not just artists, but a specific genre or subgenre within the rock world is really kind of interesting and fun. And I feel like it's a bit by accident, because as a piece of music, okay, it's nice. I understand the inspiration behind it, but this is a complete remake, which is not paying attention to that original vision, and it takes a whole different character, a different personality, and achieves something entirely new with it. You could do that with any piece, but somehow it just so happens that Apache was the song picked up for this, and so here it has ended up in the Book of Legendary Pieces of Music. First, a band that had powerful influence. Now, a song by a band with another massive influence on the development of musical styles and genres. I don't know if I would call the song itself great, but the influences are obviously incredible. And so it's another fun twist on this whole idea of great covers and what makes a great cover and why is it great. Well, I guess here, yeah, they're great. They're fun on their own. But probably the greatest thing about it is that it had this massive kind of earth-shaping influence on all kinds of stuff that came in the future. So that is the incredible bongo band performing their cover of Apache. Well, to close, let me just say that this is another moment where I feel like there's something in me that says, well, if they can do their own unique cover, I can too, and I can just envision something entirely different on the harp. Kind of fun just to play with it and come up with something. Maybe this would be a good one to do in my future idea of guess the cover song. Perhaps you might see this one showing up at some point. Although I won't give it away, otherwise you'll never be guessing. You'll know it already. Anyway, we'll see what comes in the future. That was a lot of fun, and I'll see you soon.